understand English and the connotations, it communicates something fairly specific with Robin Hood and Red Riding Hood. What it communicates is somebody in a suffocating culture who's looking for a way to resist and rebel and get out. And
that's true. Robin Hood, for example,
that's what it communicates to me. All those images.
Okay. I should interview you about.
Yeah, you should. Yeah, but actually, yeah. Well, she actually understands. She sees the process, but inside the process, I can't. But she's right. I mean, the fact is that but both those come from a mythology of English life when the underground was basically everybody who went to hide in the woods. Well, this is also true in every culture, when there's a colonial situation or even an internal oppression, that people run to the mountains and they run to the woods. And England used to be covered in woods. It was all oak forest. It was chopped down for the navy. But the woodland was a traditional place where people would go. And Robin Hood is he's like the nearest we've got to an admirable romantic stereotype in my mind, in our mythology. Whereas, and you can contrast that with, for example, the Lone Ranger, who's the American dream. In the end, every American film star has to make a Lone Ranger film. But that's their mythology. Ours is Robin Hood. Hide in the forest, watch out for the barons, get a little gang together, steal but only from the rich, etc. So that's all that baggage comes with just the name Robin Hood. Then I joined that on. Why it obviously did work in my head was because the robin is the bird, it's a red breast, and it's a bird in winter that comes around the house, comes around the house, and so on. So then there's Little Robin Redbreast and so on, and there's some fantastic children's songs about who killed Robin and so on. So all this is in my head. Now I'm dusting away the cobwebs. Red Riding Hood, goes into the forest. It's to do with. It's not unrelated to the thing with the moles, really. It's all to do with living at. Which joins Moneymouth, which is to do literally with actually going underground. And
that's a sort of sequel to Rock Bottom.
It really is. Yeah,
there was going to be a large work with Fred Frith.
Yeah, that's right.
I think that happen?
I don't know. You have to ask Fred. I mean, he was working on this piece, and it was for a whole other thing.
The whole of Virgin artists at the time were going to take part, I think.
I don't know.
That was his idea.
I don't know, because that was probably about the time I was doing the Matching Mole and on the
No, that was after.
Was it? Well, in that case,
just before the Ruth is Stranger Than Richard.
Oh, I see. Well, I didn't know about that. I didn't know about that. All I know is he presented me with this beautiful, beautiful sequence of melodic and harmonic ideas, and said, "Do you want to use these for anything?" And there's a possibility of doing more with Fred, because he's one of the great musicians, that I've had the privilege of knowing. And because I'm always very short of material, I can only write about one tune a year. And I have to say, it's usually only a pop song. Just to get that in. Well, I mean, it's not popular, it's an unpop song. A very unpopular pop song. These things are the kind of things resonating in my head that, because there again, that thing about, they're kind of folklore references, English folklore, like you have Roland and all those sort of folk things. They're part of my baggage, and I carry all those. I think the real reason why a lot of that children's fairy tale stuff carries on into my adult life is because at a certain age, the difference between reality and fantasy are very unclear. Everything happens to you. You're still subjective. You don't have a clear distinction. And so that both people you meet, like your mum and dad or friends you make, and the things you read or see, films you see or music you hear, or fantasies or fairy tales, they're all real. Everything is real to a child. And at that age, all those characters in nursery rhymes and fairy tales were real, just as real as anything else. It's that intensity of realness of what turns out to have been a fantasy world, which is, I suppose, the strongest. That's where I try to get back to when I'm doing music.